that is happening in the file of the Iranian-Israeli-U.S. war. Right now, the latest development is the U.S. source announced on Thursday that U.S. and Iranian negotiators had agreed on a framework for a 60-day ceasefire extension deal, but it still needs President Donald Trump's approval. The source confirmed a report by the Axios news outlet that the two sides had reached an agreement on a memorandum of understanding to prolong the truce and launch negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. The 60-day deal will say that shipping through the Strait of Hormuz will be unrestricted, with no tolls or harassment, and with Iran having a removal of all mines within 30 days, according to Axios. Also, the deal was about the uranium and lots more. We're going to shed more light on this with my dear guest here in the studio, Dr. Asmaa Zeiny, the Fellow Global Peace Institute. Well, Doctor, it's a great pleasure to have you always with us.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is always mine.
Thank you so much. Of course, this is the latest news about the Iranian-Israeli war that is happening. And I think this gives a little bit of hope, not just for the Gulf area, but also for the whole world, according to lots of economic devastating situations that is really wrapping or tightening the whole world economically. So, commenting on that, how do you see this move? Especially, we are in the waiting phase of the sign-off of President Donald Trump.
This step is long waited by the two disputed parties, I mean Israel, America, and Iran. The whole world is waiting for it, and it is long waited in the area, the Arab area, our region especially, because it affected all sides of life, economy, the situation of peace, and even the social stability of some countries. So it is long waited. We hope that the negotiators reached concrete and satisfying conditions for both parties and for the rest of the region countries. They said that 6-day ceasefire, it is not the final result, but at least it is a step. We are approaching, we are hoping that when they sit again to negotiate again, they reach longer time for ceasefire or even the final settlement of the whole situation. Till now, it is not confirmed. It is like announced partially by the some American officials, and it is waiting for the approval of President Trump, hoping that he will estimate the situation for the right of all parts.
Well, I think the spark of a hope when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to waiting even for a confirm, for more negotiating tables, for more negotiating points even, because each time there is a negotiating path, whether the American side or the Iranian side, both they exchange statements, they exchange threats, they exchange lots more. And even Donald Trump himself, when he announces that he's in the path of negotiating, we are waiting for that, always includes some threat inside, which this kind of threats, again, I think shakes the trust of the world when it comes to the peaceful deal, the prolonged truce, and all of that. So it's not just about the American side or the Iranian side, right?
You know, theoretically in the peace building studies, just the setting of the two disputing parties on the same table to negotiate, to start to reach whatever shape of negotiations to reach an agreement, this is considered theoretically as a step. In some disputes, even achieving this step, we are talking after this dispute entering the 4th month of fighting between the two parts. This step is theoretically something so hopeful, but still we are waiting to put it into action, to have a concrete ceasefire. You know, sometimes it is announced partially also that they will reach a deal, and we see strikes just like few hours after that. We hope that this is more reachable and more practical for all parts. You know that the push for reaching this deal comes from inside the two disputing parts. It's from U.S., inside the U.S., and I believe inside Israel also by some powers inside the state, and also from inside Iran. Not only the region waiting for this, it is the push, the real push for achieving it and reaching this point comes internally from the different parts.
I can understand your point, because this is frustrating when it comes to the hope of ceasefire and all of that. And in the end, the strikes, as you said, like what happened today. Iran striked Kuwait, which, of course, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi just announced his condemnation for such attacks, and the sovereignty and the integrity of Kuwait is part of Egypt's integrity and all of that. So I think no one wants more of that. And since you are a fellow of the Global Peace Institute, how do you see this? How do you value this? How do you spread more I don't know, awareness on your side? What is going on when it comes to the global peace?
Clearly, this is the unpaid price that not the only two parts pay, this the rest of the world sometimes pay. This is clearly in the case of the countries around the two fighting parts. Whatever the reason for whatever part of the two parties to have, still it costs the neighboring countries very high, and actually it costs the rest of the world. You know, to look at the prices of oil all over the world, even in the areas which are far from the fighting, it's reached the consequences of the war reached all parts of the world. This is what we see in peace studies. This is the budget, the high cost of the war for. Why some unwarrior countries which are not involved as direct parties in the war may be involved, may be interested to reach the negotiations and deals and ceasefire finally, because this is what we pay for what's happening around us. Sure. It is like a negative cost of the war for other countries.
Well, of course, we see that, as you said, the economy of the whole world is erupted. Today, even the Nasdaq and the S&P and lots of when it comes to the Boursa, it dropped 1.6% only today. So we're speaking about, each time we speak more about economy, or we read about economy, all the parties and all the parts involved or not involved, they are just waiting and for the truth. They're just waiting for a real deal. They're waiting for a new bath. They're waiting for even the Strait of Hormuz, the blockade and all of that. All the trade around the world are affected right now. It's not just Egypt. It's not just the region. It's not the Middle East. But the provoked Iranian war, it didn't only provoke the war in Iran or the Gulf area, but as you said, it did strike a couple of Gulf areas not even involved. That, I think, made it even more worse.
Not to forget that especially this war is happening in a part of the world which is like a linking point for the rest of the world, even if it is not affecting some countries economically or military-wise. It's affecting the free movement of the people to move for different purposes. It's directly it's affecting because the closure or the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz distracting the movement of trade, but even it is affecting the normal, if you are intending to go for this part of the world and passing by the area, especially at that time when you are witnessing what very important event in the Muslim, the whole Muslim world, which is Hajj pilgrimage for Muslims, where the movement, all the world was worried, is the flights carrying the pilgrims is safe to move. Alhamdulillah that they are reaching the deal for ceasefire at that time of the event.
I think this event, of course, this is a very holy occasion, which people gathering for such peaceful and for such a holy occasion, I think this gives energy all over the place. It's not just about, it's about solidarity, it's about, yes, it's about faith, it's about praying, it's about praising God's role when it comes to that. So, and not just praying for themselves, but praying also for the brotherly and the sisterly countries. So this kind of, it's a peaceful process, let's say. So this kind of peaceful process in one of the countries that is affected, that proves a lot. That proves that solidarity when it comes to peace, there is solidarity 100%, there is a relief, there is, people want to gather for one cause. So I think this needs to be spread as a info for some people who don't know what's going on, or being scared that people will not reach what and to do what.
I believe this is a message that could be sent to the rest of the world, that this is among the cost of the war, that it affected even the stability of the peaceful people who are just moving, interested in performing kind of ibadah like in the case of Hajj. I believe this is a message for the world that enough worrying, we got enough wars, especially in this part of the world. Of course, this is the right. This right is guarded by the human rights law and under the world agreements regarding the human rights, the freedom of movement of peaceful people like the pilgrims. This is an Islamic value in the first place, but also it is stated in the international humanitarian law.
So, speaking about, of course, right now there's a lot of countries affected, Lebanon, the Gulf area, Kuwait, and brotherly countries. And meanwhile, on the other hand, there's Russia-Ukrainian war, there's the Sudan, that is very erupted, 30 years of war actually, and the south of Sudan. So right now, I think the peace globally, the only topic that they are speaking about right now is nothing is going to work except with diplomacy, with negotiations and all of that. People who cannot think about distraction, cannot think about they are going to be torn again, whether people who already moved from UK and stuff like that, UK called for their resident to go back, and after people settled and all that. So this kind of unstable conditions, people jumped in. How can we send messages for humanity, because Israel also is killing the charter of the UN?
Peace-wise, this timing is, we could say that looking at the building peace in the whole world could be considered like one of the worst times regarding peace, as you just have said. What's happening in Sudan, what is happening in Palestine, Gaza, and what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, and of course between America, Israel, and Iran. This is affecting even the peaceful mind of the people all over the world. And especially, I'm caring about the youngest in this area, because I believe they are not the luckiest generation witnessing this wars coming directly after Gaza war, the war at Gaza, and what's happening between Israel and Iran. I believe we need to talk to the humanity, that this is the right of these children, the young generations and the youth, to enjoy the peace in the world, to be able to live their life normally. And the people inside the two warring parts, it is their right. We are trying to reach this for the trade and economy of the world, and also for the people living inside these two parts.
Yes, I think people living there, I pray for them, because you know, we sometimes we can be mad, we can be sad, we can be tired, you have your home, you have a shelter, you have something, you have stability, you have peaceful mind, you have people around, you have your family and all of that. So when we speak about humanity, it's not about the conditions of the war only, but the circumstances and the precondition and the after conditions that's going to happen, not just for the elderly, not just for people who suffers from a famine, also for children died, lots of children, and on a daily basis, let's say. So how do you see that? How can we direct that, though the UN Charter is not taken by anymore, nobody is considering it? Yes, lots of sessions, including held by the UN Security Council, discussing lots of issues, including the African Horn, including Iran war, Palestine, Gazans, and all of that. So how can we push more for that? Because even the international community is trying, but still there is mendacious action when it comes from the Israeli side.
I believe one of the reasons behind that the Egyptian state, Egypt is pushing for peace, that we dramatically know the exact meaning of the word war, because Egypt witnessed like different wars in different generations, and we know the cost. We know how this war could affect not only the generation who witnessed the war, but even the future generations. There are a number of wars that we personally didn't witness, but we read about and hear the stories of what happened during the Palestine-Israeli war in Palestine, and what happened in Egypt during the different wars that Egypt witnessed. This is one main reason backing the Egyptian situation regarding pushing for diplomacy and the stopping of what is happening in the world. The only countries who are able to push the whole humanity, the whole world towards achieving a real peace are the countries which suffered enough from wars. And this is, I believe, one of the main pillars pushing the Egyptian towards achieving the UN and the international humanitarian law in different countries, not speaking about Iran and Israel only and America, in Sudan, because we know the meaning of people losing their homes, their beloved ones, their work, their life. There is during the war time, there is no life. War is war. And speaking about it, never to forget what's happened at the very beginning of the striking of the Israeli-American strikes on Iran. A whole school for girls was hacked, and this is the cost of war. More than 168 girls were like shot, and there is investigations about the situation, but still they are dead, they are lost, their families lost the girls and the young girls. This is war. This is one of the very high costs of the war on the younger generation. This is one of the main pushes that pushes the whole humanity. Look what's happening. This is war.
Yeah, speaking about, there's two parts.
Not military, I mean humanitarian. Yes.
When it comes to humanity, there's this part, because the word fear itself, we're grown up, but we have fear. What about the young generations? I think each country that suffers from that, the youth, the children, the small aged, will be needing a rehabilitation when it comes to their psychology and all of that. Each country have its own treasure from youth, which needs just a direction, a bath, a life, which is the minimum. They're not asking for too much. They are just asking for the minimum. The problem is they are trapped. You cannot just run from something that bothers you, or just run from a country that you're not settled with, or you're not fitting in. So it is a big issue when it comes to humanity. It's a big issue when it comes to the charters. So I think even the international community or different foreign countries, before they were looking to the Gaza case closely, before the 10th of October, before the war sparked actually that aggressively, and the yellow zone and the gray zone and all the zones that we witnessed, but it's not about that. But now they are trying to move, actually, even not in a group, not in an international platform, but even individuals. They are speaking about that, and they are comparing their life to their children's life.
You know, there is another part, of course, what's happening to the younger generations and youth during the time of war. There is another part which is unspoken enough about, which is the suffering of women during the time of war. You know what happens to the militaries, one winning and one losing, and what we are like accounting who is going to lose what battlefield. But no one considers the suffering of women even after war and reaching peaceful settlement. You know, in Gaza, there are like hundreds of thousands of women who are now became without any man to support, to provide. They are responsible for very big families, and this situation is going to happen also inside inside Sudan. It's happening actually, and it is happening also in the two fighting parties now. There is a cost unseen. This is going to last like for tens of years. This is why the international law should take place and be applied on the spot, because the cost is not military-wise only, it is different fields of life-wise, affecting as stability and the right of education, the right of peaceful living, the right of eating, moving, of all the very granted rights by international humanitarian law and human rights also. It is affected the stability of half of the world. I believe that during that time, I mean the stability of women at the time of war. I believe this is unspoken topic we need to raise very, very often.
So, speaking about those ladies, how do you think that even the international community cannot take action when it comes to different part of the world and different struggles, different conflicts, different strikes and all of that? The women inside, they are trapped. even the aid, they cannot even reach the aid easily. Of course, the initiative by Zeiny, by Egypt, we did our job still up till now by air, by roads. We were trying to reach this. Yes, it's the blockade. So how this can be settled? We're just speaking about Palestine, and on the other hand, there's Lebanon. There's lots of 21 people died in Lebanon, including women, including children, including all of that. So when they strike, they don't know who they're striking, but in the end, they're individuals. They're not part of anything. They are not the soldiers. They are nothing. So how can we do that? But because even the international community is so trapped. It's so tightened. It cannot do anything.
This is what is. No one has a prescription for reaching this. If anyone had the clue, the situation would have been solved so easily. But actually, what we could do, that we describe the situation and warn the world against what is actually happening. This is a cost that no one can pay finally. At the end of the day, each day of the war, we count how many women are going to be responsible for how long, responsible for very big families, and standing all alone in this situation. The best that we can do, that we shed light on this. But what can solve the situation? These are fighting parts. No one can stop the military and the battlefield. It is happening. But this is our role as experts, and shedding the light on this part that might not be on the table for the negotiating parts. This is what we are doing now.
Yeah, it's a game of politicians and leaders and domination, and who's going to dominate what, especially even economy. Targets, areas, yes. So right now, I don't know, but we are still watching. We hope for the best when it comes to we are just waiting for Donald Trump's, but each now and then he goes with lots of announcements, but we hope that he will finish this deal peacefully.
The best we can have now, or what we can do right now, that we count to how far this is going to be practical and reachable by the end of the very coming few days. We hope that they agree to this 6-day deal, ceasefire, because it is for the best of all. Men, women, yes, warring parts, and the neighboring countries. That's all.
And of course, the blockade will open lots of opportunities for trade, because today, even like big countries, they're negotiating and thinking about different roads and different ways, gateways, instead of homes, until they reach something. They will remove supposedly the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, but there's the conditions for both sides. No, I think there's a certain point, I don't know, they want some actions to be taken immediately with lots of points to be negotiated. Meanwhile, on the other hand, if you do this, I'll do that. If you do this, I'll do that, and nothing is happening. So it's a big game.
It's a game, and no one knows the rules. It's happening. This is the situation we are assessing every now and then, to the right of all neighboring countries and the whole region. But I believe this situation is not going to be short. In my opinion, it's going to be like we witnessed the different wars with Iran when it took like years and years, but still the heavy cost for the whole region is very high. This time is so critical for all countries. We hope that at least the easing of the movement of trade to the Strait of Hormuz is going to make the situation better and easy the economic situation in all countries, because it is heavy for everyone, and these are like the hardest times for everyone in the region.
Yes, especially right now the Pentagon even have lots of corruption inside. They're discussing why even did the American military in the first place attacked Iran. What was for it? How did you know that they threatened us, and how was it like very difficult not to strike back? So it was uncalculated. Actually, this is an uncalculated step, 100%, which really resulted in what we are witnessing now. People, yes, we are watching what's going on around the world. Yes, we thank God that we have a great government, pragmatic president, that he's not just thinking about the safety of his nation or the safety of his country, but he's also thinking about the safety of the region and condemning and threatening also that nobody comes to the integrity or the sovereignty of any Arab or Gulf country, because this is as part of Egypt. So this is very brave also.
Also, this situation, what's happening inside the U.S. is we are hoping that they are people pushing for reaching this peace deal or settlement whatsoever, ceasefire. They are strong enough to push with the pushing happening from some parts of the world towards achieving this. Whatever the reason be, it is not calculated war. It happened in a way that is not the custom, the normal way. But we hope that they stay strong enough to support the international pushing towards reaching this peace deal. I believe they are strong enough.
I think the U.S. itself wants to have this part of that we are the
winner.
Yeah, we dominate even the negotiations, and we're not going to settle for that. But they are in a very critical situation also, the administration of Trump. And meanwhile, in the other hand, the administration of Iran, always Trump just go with any occasion, he sends statements and announcements regarding what's happening, actually, as if he's like neglecting. Even on the way to truce, when it comes to Lebanon, Friday will be like, again, a negotiating table between Lebanon and Israel in U.S. this Friday. But today, again, we heard about strikes in Lebanon. So it destroyed lots of villages and small towns. Even they called for evacuation.
And infrastructure, great infrastructure loss. I believe there always in this situation there is like internal situation we can assess from outside, but no one can leave and no one can live and feel. Sorry, like the people inside the circle. This is what is happening inside Lebanon, and we read about the infrastructure, what's happening to the infrastructure, the displacement of people, and what's happening for women. But actually living inside this is a piece of hell. In peace studies, this is something unbearable. We cannot stand. Sometimes we cannot stand watching the videos or reading about what's happening, but they are suffering. Truly, they are suffering from inside. Let's hope that this ceasefire is.
It's going to work. Even like it's going to postpone what's going for a while.
Even it's only 6 days, but still it is needed.
It is needed because right now, as you see, that there's a lot of, when it comes to Access News, also they said among the first issue to be addressed is how to dispose of Iran's stock of enriched uranium. So to highlight that, and Washington and Tehran both accused each other of violating the truce earlier on Thursday following an exchange of fire. So, and Trump has repeatedly insisted that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon under any deal to end the war that is the U.S. and Israel launched on Feb 28. So, again, what's causing all of that is the enriching of the uranium, who's in control. Iran is not the only country in the world that has uranium.
Israel is having the
100%.
Yeah, and 100%. It is seen by the world, and no one can compare what's happening to Iran to what should be happening to Israel. If the real reason is having this weapon, should be happening to other countries. But this is the world situation.
I think soon Trump will face, because there is an aggression also. He's facing lots of aggression, not just from his nation, but from his allies, from neighboring countries, and other countries not related actually, because he's just posing some sanctions here and there. But speaking about that also, we're speaking about away from the sanctions, away from all of that. I don't think that a cool administration, he's in fear now because there's an election coming up. So the aggression is not about only the taxes, the war they are dragged in, their nation, they don't want that. The American dream is fading and all of that. So how do you comment on that?
I believe that the situation inside U.S. is totally hot. Every party is going to try to dominate the situation by showing that this war is uncalculated at a time, a very bad timing for the Americans and for what their organization of things inside. But still, in each country there is like what we call the wise voice of the balance of power inside the administration and the whole U.S. And we hope that same is happening also inside Israel, because the Israeli elections are too soon also, and you know the elections is the utmost important
Authority, let's say.
inside these two countries. Let's hope that the wise voice inside two countries is going to balance the situation for the better of the whole region.
Yes, because the American administration is not just focusing on the enriching of the uranium or the strikes, or who's powerful, or who's in control of the trade, or who's in control of the oil prices, and who's in control of natural gas and the crudes and all of that. But again, it's a play, it's a domination play, and we know that Donald Trump has his arrogancy when it comes to that, and it's very nonchalant.
You know, the more the war lasts, the more contradiction that is seen for the rest of the world in the situation regarding Iran having this nuclear weapons, and Israel having the same weapon, while no one is saying a word about it. The longer the war lasts, the clearer this contradiction became clear for even for parts of the world which was not paying attention to what is the reason for this war.
Yes, because Donald Trump, when he took over, he promised that he's going to solve the problems,
Yes,
there is no conflict, he's going to work on the negotiating table to stop what's going on in Palestine, in Gaza. But right now, it's very clear, as you said, what he's saying is not convenient for some people. They can see the actions, which speaks louder than words, actually.
It is not convenient for us only, not to us at the region. Even it is not convenient for the American citizens inside the U.S. because no one nowadays is like easily deceived by speeches and talks. Actually, what is happening is affecting the everyday life of the people inside the U.S. They are very high taxpayers, and they are defending the right to know what is the administration is going to have with the rest of the world powers.
And even the unemployment, it reached more than 200% actually when it comes to U.S. So they are not just nagging about their nonchalant presidential actions, but they are nagging about their way of life. Lots of Americans also left the U.S. to some other part of the world, Portugal or Brazil or some Latin American countries, to just live. They want to live. They don't want to be dragged also to lots of issues not concerning them at all. Meanwhile, there's a lot of corruption when it comes to education, when it comes to health care, when it comes to taxes, when it comes also to the administration itself and the Pentagon.
You know, there is another part about what's happening in the world. Also, some American citizens are worried about a very sensitive thing, which is the American reputation, about who is launching the wars around the world, what is happening, who promised to stop the wars, and who is actually launching another war. The world is fed up of this, and this is enough for the whole world. This is a very sensitive point for some Americans. They are against the war because of this. We are like contradicting ourselves. They are saying that we are the administration, I mean, the American administration is contradicting what she came in the first place to stop in the world.
Yes, 100%. And meanwhile, there's a lot also of foreigners or expatriates or people from different part of the world, including Americans. Now they are revealing their life here in Cairo through reels and through other, which is very, actually, I think, provoking for others, for other Americans, that here is safe and we are living here in Hurghada. Look at my house, look at the sea, look at the weather, look at the safety here. I walk at the 3 a.m. Freely, secured, and so this also gives us a privilege, and we are so proud that we have a pragmatic diplomacy, foreign diplomacy, when presented in His Excellency Dr. Badr Abdel Ati, lots of visits, lots of summits, lots of conferences. And again, what we say, we always say that thank God that we are living here in this region, very secured. Our government is thinking about reviving and flourishing Egypt more when it comes to infrastructure, and thinking also about its treasure, which is the youth. So we can mention that, and we hope that the next period is going to be way much better, hopefully for the whole world, not just for the region.
In short, we can rephrase what you just have said, that the rest of the world is seeing and witnessing how is Egypt witnessing peace. This is the practical meaning of the word peace. When you enjoy peace, when you build peace, this is what happens. You can live your life normally, even if there is economic pressure and some critical situations. Still, peace is a big plus that anyone can witness and can talk about by himself. No one is going to dedicate him or dictate on him what he's going to say. It is said normally.
Especially if nothing is postponed, like you're walking on your bath, you're studying, you're living your life, you're having lots of initiatives by the government for women, also for young
children,
leadership. We are thinking about leading. We are thinking about growing more. So yes, we are a little bit affected by lots of neighboring countries, but still, thank God that we are collected by a great, powerful government.
We hope for this for the rest of the neighboring countries and the whole region and the whole world, because this is something that no one can deny. This is life. This is how life should be going normally in all countries. People should have the right to have a very good education, very good standard of lives, and development and everything. Let's hope that this is achieved in Sudan, in Palestine, in all warring parts of the world.
Well, we hope for the best. We are praying from here. We are praying for all the affected area, the strikes, the conflict. Hopefully, we're going to live very soon in a very peaceful world. Dr. Asmaa Zeiny, the fellow Peace Globe Institute. I would like to thank you so much for your very informative interview. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Asmaa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we came to the end of this episode. Promise we'll be back next week with more interesting topic. Until then, best regards from me, Shuruk Baki.